kids until they got up. And further away, my son's in the minor leagues for Diamondbacks.
Yeah.
I'm a soccer player in Mankato State. I was just a police officer in Mankato.
Very nice.
And my son left high school. Sold my ranch. Well, I was on the Iowa Model of Farmland, so pretty much just hang out farm. Come back here to do stuff in the back of our can, do camps, and got to meet a lot of great people. Some are different camps, just Ginsburg. I'm sure there's some more I haven't seen yet, but yeah, just living life. Appreciate, very blessed that I think all the good things I've been doing and done in my life. Meet some great people along the way.
Yeah, I was reading a quote from you back in your playing days. I think towards the end of your career, you said, really the only thing you wanted out of life was to have wife, kids, play baseball, and hunt deer. And it seems like you're doing pretty good.
Just a lot of things I set out to do. I'm very grateful for that.
When you look at your time with the Mets, 4.5 seasons here with our New York Mets, 3.34 ERA, 22-14 over 285 appearances. You know, the numbers probably bear out. That's the best stretch of your career. Does it feel like this was the best time of your career here in Queens? Be honest with all of us if you think it was a different time. You're not saying it's because we're in Queens.
No. You know me well. I'm blatantly honest.
That's true.
Absolutely love playing here. You know, a lot of people look at stats, but I always said I'm a player and set up that sometimes for the safe situations. I didn't get paid for wins, losses, or saves. The only stat I ever cared about was an evergreen sport.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. If I get guys from scoring, then I get my shot. And so that was the only thing I ever cared about.
When you look at the state of baseball today, inherited runners is now a major statistic, you know, for relief pitches. Obviously, it's something that you just admitted that you've thought about over your playing career. But when you look at the fact that that's become such an important stat for relief pitchers, do you think that that's trending in the right direction in terms of, you know, you see a lot of the stats that come out now and people say it's paralysis by analysis, it's too much, it's getting bogged down, but that seems like something that would be near and dear to you, something that is really important that baseball is kind of trending that way.
It is. A lot of the analytics is a little too much. Bat speed or acidity low or spin rate. You start to hit the ball, you gotta get it hit. So I don't care if you throw 140 miles an hour, if you strike, it doesn't matter. I don't care if you swing and bat speeds 300 miles per hour, you know, all over the but like I was saying, as a setup guy, you're almost on some here.
Mm-hmm.
You come in 9 times out of 10, there's testing days, and you know, you're not extra here to be. You know, it's kind of funny because he was great, super supportive, but he was always a guy. And it was just like, I would go out there and I would do my job because I would get out of the gym, get out of the evening, set up a save, say like 10 times in a row. But and then nobody wants to talk to me. They want to go talk to the instructors, want to talk to the closer. Well, the 11th time I go out and I give up the lead and get a home run or something like that, and then everybody wants to know, well, they're a little bit. And then getting back to my dad, talk to my dad every day, the next day, never mentioning it. We talked about 100 years from now, and the 11th time when I gave up the lead and lost the game, that's all. Well, they'll happen. We're in the last.
Middle league pitchers, it's sort of like offensive linemen in football, where, you know, if you don't hear their name, that means that they're doing something right. So, you know, but you were always the kind of person. I've interviewed you 2 times prior to this on my podcast, and you said, listen, you're going to tell the truth regardless. But you were always that guy who would stand in the locker room, you would say what you needed to say, you would admit if you didn't have a good game, and you know, the accountability is something that New York fans always appreciate. And look, they don't live there anymore, but from Massachusetts originally, it's a very, similar mentality of, you got to kind of stand on your business. So, was it a lot your upbringing? Was it your dad? Was it just getting used to, playing in the Cubs organization, another great baseball city? What was it that held Turk Wendell accountable each and every single time if he went out there and didn't have his best game?
Well, I think a lot of it has to do with my upbringing, but I love baseball and every aspect of it. And here this Venice Met fantasy camp. I mean, I think I enjoy it over the place. I mean, I get into it. I have fun. I just love the game, and I think the fans when I played, they helped me be a better player because it helped me work harder, not to let them down, not to let my teammates down, not to let myself down. And it's just the respect of that they know that I'm working as hard as I can. And realize a lot of people don't realize baseball's you're a failure. You're going to fail when you're succeeding. And I think it's under the microphone or microphone glass anymore because guys are going to be so funny. They're not supposed to failure good over there. I'm so straight out 200 times. And whatever that is, it's awesome. It's cool. But, that coming from the Cubs, from the big city, it's a little different. As a starter, just trying to find my way in language, and then I was in the bullpen. This side of stuff about trying options. I was also rotation. I was closer to 96. It was real by default because the other guys I had didn't work out. And long story short, I get traded here, and we have John Franco and Michael, set of guys. So I was alone.
Yeah.
And next thing you know, I kind of just find my way back into being a seven guy closer. But long story short, it just I'm from Chicago, where the fan base is awesome. I mean, it's great stuff. Just LSU pushes you to be the best player you can. And then coming here, same scenario, tenfold is through the city, and they draw more fans as far as attendance wise. And then I go to Philadelphia, which really sucks.
It's another elaborate it was. I'm not into the ask immediately. Why did it suck in Philadelphia?
Well,
Did you say why wouldn't it?
no, I really it's a couple things. That year, Rock was a free agent, and I told I'm a brain fart right now, owner Will Rock. Look,
You see a lot of bad words right now, but nothing but low heights.
it's what it is. It's pretty cool. But I told him I played if you gave me a February and I should play a year free. Now I could have hindsight, obviously, it's always 50-50. I should have said I played their fourth year for the minimum. So, but then I actually took $4 million less to stay. It sucked because they traded me right away 3 months into the contract.
Yeah.
And I like Philly, like my teammates, the fans were brutal. And it's, I got traded, my flex attendants were on the phone. And they actually been diagnosed for 7 months.
Wow.
And then I came back to check. That's for a second opinion. He saw right away what happened. So he did the surgery. But so I missed the whole 2002 season, which got me Philly for a year. So when I moved to Alaska. Oh, of course. Yes. But no, long story short, then I take the hometown discount to sign with the Rockies. Being in Philly was good too because the fans were pretty harsh. And when they, they were ruining me when I blew my little flex attendant. And I missed the next year. And, well, after the whole thing with my elbow, all the reporters want to know, hey, what happened? Is Andrew Howard, you know, what do you think of fans? And I look at maybe desk reporters. As soon as you're in my locker, I grabbed some fan mail. Or mouth. And it said that, you know, they wish that I was in 9/11. Look at all the reporters that were standing there. I said, these are the fans you got. All those fans. This. Surgery, and then I come out in 2006, and I'm just really well. I give up 1 or 2 rows of football. And whether it works, the fans are on your side now, they're not doing it anymore. I said, no, if they're true fans, they're going to be now too. You know, make sure you're vote.
Turk said he was going to be brutally honest. He was brutally honest every step of the way.
But so then 2004, I took a town discount. It's very good to Colorado because I lived there. You're all my kids. Great place to play, great fans, but I don't know what word we need to call those kind of fans because it was more of a social event to go to those games than it was. You know, you lose to Philly, you gotta get a flag check to leave the ball. The Rockies, it didn't matter if they won or lost. It's like a social event, beers, whatever it was they're doing. And it took a lot of the outside from it because you know that's one of the biggest things that pushed me to be the best player.
Well, let me ask you from that perspective, because one of these things is not like the other. So Chicago, New York, Philadelphia, and then you're in Denver. I know that was the end of your career. You had pitched for at that point 10 years, going on 11 years. Was part of what pushed you to retire just looking at the landscape, pitching in Denver and saying, you know, I kind of need the bumps from the crowd. Was that what?
Absolutely, that's something that pushes you all on itself. And you know, that explosive. You're out there trying to self-motivate. When you're in Australia for people. So when you go around, it's throw me in the ball. Like, don't worry, everyone's gonna get a ball. You know, I'm gonna get 2 balls. It's just I retired so I could be with the children.
Yeah.
I could have kept playing and actually went to spring training the next year with the Astros. And just that love and that strive to be the best just really wasn't there anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And Phil Darner called me to the office and said, hey, you know, I wasn't pitching that great. I truly wasn't understanding to do it. I went to San Diego to start the season in AAA for a month or 2. And we were thinking about the team, and I said, no. I said, I told myself I never played minor league baseball again. I didn't think it'd be fair to some kid that's never played in big leagues take his spot. And I know that feeling because I was that kid.
Right.
And I don't want to do this. So I've had my glory days. I mean, come on.
Do you think it was? Yeah, I mean that's the round of applause for sure. So looking back these years later, would you say that it was more your heart or more your arm at that point in your career?
I would say 75% my heart.
Yeah.
5% my heart. I actually been working at the night for a make comeback.
Well, it's a big business nowadays.
And you mentioned that earlier with the 7 guys in the bullpen. It's really all the bullpens. Or just the pitching staff. Let's face it, guys, they go 5-6 innings.
Yeah.
Which is hard to believe that they're all going that. And to me, it's more of a bigger topic because everyone wants the games to speed up. And I just, if you're a true baseball fan, you want to go see a good baseball.
Absolutely. Yes.
It makes just around off. Everyone wants to see, 50 to 12 with 8 home runs, careless 5 hours. I mean, if you're a true baseball fan, you want to see your team win, and it takes winning your team that you cheer for, blow out our team.
Right.
And they're charging more to get into the games. And so now what? Games can get over 2 hours. You go, shit, I just spent $800. I didn't get my money's.
I could. The refrain that I always say is that Major League Baseball is looking for love in all the wrong places. I think,
That's not something.
yeah, I agree.
Remember goal in that?
Yeah, it's only that later on, so just get it now. What you got?
I mean, how much more can we see? Like you said, not love it, but
Yeah.
what's next? Call for City Hall. I'm just gonna read it. Hold on, I'm reading it. Why?
Yeah.
Doesn't make any sense at all. They're making more. You can't hardly come in side.
Yeah.
Yeah, look at second base. Well, hey, we're doing more stolen bases. You want to throw the first 2 times. You want more stolen bases? Side guys are fast. Yeah. So, that's it. Instead of getting these big logs that strike out you 50 times a year, they're a home runs.
Yeah.
You can't have your cake and eat it too.
And my reaction from all the folks here, I think it's the rule changes are sort of an overstep. I think it's an overreach in the wrong direction where, yeah, of course, we all love baseball. That's why we're all here. I mean, I don't know if I've ever talked to a player that truly loves baseball as much as you, and it comes through in everything that you're saying. But, you can do things to make sure that the next generation of fans loves baseball. But I don't think that making bases bigger and, having people pitch to 3 batters when they come in. And
I don't know anyone that's slid into a base got hurt. It's too small. Seriously, who the hell has stats on that?
I don't know.
Let's maybe it's you know what's next? They're gonna do the 2 bases at first. Like,
Let's
that's force. Just
something you were kind of talking about before, which is the importance of the bullpen now. And again, just the way you're talking, I don't want to label you a purist or anything like that, but you came up at a time when starting pitchers pitched. They pitched deeper into games. They threw 200 innings. They went out there and they quote unquote did their job. But as a guy who had the most of his success in the bullpen, where do you kind of look at the way the importance has shifted to the bullpen now in the modern? So is there a part of you as a baseball fan that doesn't necessarily love that? Or is there a part of you as a relief pitcher that says, you know what, let's put more on our shoulders?
That's a very tough question, but I think the way that it's evolved is really, and that goes with the speed of the game. It comes down to one little thing. To me, that's how the umpires call, right? This starts from the field up the ground. They don't call us anymore. Hell, they rarely call actually. So if they would call the strikes for this game, the game is going to speed up on its own. Because guys are next to that. It's just the way the game is. And that in itself will speed up the game. And all the heck, you're starting to pitch deeper in the game. So not pitch like that. But also, even the minor leagues now, they have 6-man rotations because they don't let them up. Right. It's 6 guys, and it's like you're the Tuesday guy, the Friday guy. And so they're not conditioning to go 100 to 125 pitches. If you're a starter, you should be able to pitch 150 pitches. I would say 35 or 150 pitches, 35 rates. Now, as a reliever, people, how heroes makes references. A lot of fans love their phone. I threw 9 straight games.
That's the thing to say about
it. It was like 23 innings. 9 straight games. And now guys sometimes pitch 1 or 2 innings or 1 or 2 appearances, and they definitely have to get the top 2, 3 summers ago. And Steve Collins, sweet. It was like this. Watch the game. There was a setup situation. He won the league. I forget that he's coming in. He looked at me and goes, "Who's coming in?" Well, what? What did I talk to you? That's the wrong guy. I go, he pitched last night. Well, you did pitch 2 weeks in a row. You're definitely that's wrong. He had texted earlier. Said that fish my flows a little sore. And so I mean, not a good sign, you know, not happens for the season, but he's a great guy. But just guys don't take themselves. Not only physically, but mentally for the most part, especially during the course of a season. Now, you know, getting back to that 9 games in a row stretch, a lot of this is double-headed stuff. So 2 2/3, 2/3, and back games double-header. In the next of the 9-game stretch, lighter and friendly. You better tell them you can't fix it. You know what? That's it. It's fun.
So the first time, no, it was great. The first time I had you on the podcast, it was after Edwin Diaz's not so great season, and then we had you on after his unbelievable season a couple of years ago, and you had talked about, hey, you know what? I think I can help him out. I think I can offer some advice. And since then, you've been a lot more involved with the Mets, with, you know, with Steve Cohen and the owner's boss and stuff like that. You kind of joked about the prospect of now maybe getting into coaching, bullpen coaching, things like that. Is that something that you would want to do at this stage in your life, get back into the game in a big way?
Absolutely. It's a dialogue with the big experience. He doesn't know what I want to do. But I'd love to be a minor league, roving, bullpen instructor to kind of coach these guys. And it's not so much the physical aspect, because they definitely have physical abilities and talents to pitch in that things. But it's mental stuff for you. You're physically training yourself, mental part of it, sleeping and exercising and everything, diet, to pitch in 162 games, another 30 in spring training plus playoffs. Guys don't understand how big that is. Just to tell you, when I coach the fantasy camps, it's 4 days or 5 days. This guy's so it's definitely, you know, and I said, if you've ever been a fly on the wall, or you want to be inspired to be a good player, best thing I can say is just watch. It's usually about the 4+ year mark. Watch other folks, and they all have routines. But they all have their own routines, and they alter it. You know, sometimes we wins and losses or whatever happens, but they stick to the routine. And it's coaching. Coach my son all the way up through high school, and it's almost like the key to life in my eyes is stay right here. You can't live too high and can't live too low. And John Oler steps to us.
Yeah.
John Oler is struck out 20 times in a row and hit 5 home runs in a row. He was just like, it's a joke with him, like, holy, it really was.
Okay, so obviously your career much bigger than this, but I got to bring it up. The superstitions. Everybody always wants to talk about it. I know you and I have talked about it before. It's overblown because there's something that you kind of give up earlier in your career that you were, you know, kind of became known for even after you stopped doing it. But for the people who maybe have not heard this, you know, part of your life story before, where did it come from? Not only the stuff that you kept, hopping over the foul line and slamming down the rosin bag, but the more eccentric stuff, like brushing your teeth in between innings, chewing the black licorice. Where did that come from exactly?
Well, in high school, I remember going out and I pitched an inning, gave up a run. And that's when I was pretty good, so I didn't give up too many runs. But after the inning, I think about what the hell I did differently. I remember stepping on the foul line when I was at home. So I never stepped on the line again. And I line again, all my coaching cat is childhood friend. We grew up together and said brothers since little league, a great group, feature ball on America. Well, he played shortstop, not only then but in the second field, and I worked quick. So I came in, get in the dugout, and do make sure I'm ready. Threw a pitch or two, and I was here watching. First of all, back to me. After that, I was make sure Duke, are you ready to go? So I'm there. Then I go to college. Most people think I'm this kind of wild, crazy thing. I've never tried a drug or never tried tobacco. Even a sip of alcohol. I just love life. I love, like I said, I love my business. I try to do most of everything in my life. I feel very gifted to be here still. That's another story. But I would say.
Well, wait, some of the other situations.
So college, these guys shoot tobacco and they play this little game where they spit on your shoes. Yeah, that's kind of gross.
That is gross.
You ever, after a ball game, you would never want to lay down or sit down. It's more so because guys shoot a lot more. They shoot tobacco, they spit out and stuff. Anyway. So I wanted to play this game too, but I couldn't because I was tobacco. So my roommate had some, so I get back to the shit. And I thought, well, I like black though. So black shavings. All right. So it looks cool. It looks like tobacco. So that's all that thing was. And then rookie ball. Had a bad taste in my mouth. So I asked the bat boy to run my toothbrush. Well, it's just sign up. And it's just like it's how your routine into a comfort zone. And that's what happens. And so as I evolved through the minor leagues and became a top prospect of the Braves, it really got blown up. And then I get changed to Cubs, and of course, my things would be a Cardinal game, rivalry, and I was in Chicago, so prior to that, getting traded to the Cubs, it got really long. But Jim Riggleman, unbelievable manager, great guy, he gets signed to be the manager of the Cubs in '95, and very first day, first practice is over, he calls me over, he says, I want you to put in all that stuff. And I thought, well, who else is right now? Pretty much the first conversation I had with the guy, he said, look, you have a great farm. I want people to talk about your farm and all that other stuff. And so it took a while for me to figure out a new routine to put in the comfort zone. And getting back to the fans, when I would come in and there's guys like the Mark McGuire, everyone's going to shoot. So that to me is the ultimate why you strive to be a good player, play against the best in big situations. That takes your game to another level, and the fans are into it. It takes just that much more focus. And a lot of times when you see a closer come in and it's a 3-run lead, it's not as sharp because in the back of his mind thinks, oh, I have a 3-run pitcher. When they have a 1-run lead, they're so much more laser focused. It's there. You don't need to. But so figuring out my new routine, I kind of tend to let my guard down when it's up. There's maybe a backup player, so you just got called up from minor leagues or something like that. Not as focused as you are when you're facing some big high-hand hitter type of guy. And in Chicago, I developed a home run to a backup shortstop for the Expos. And I remember just so good myself and grabbing the roster back and just running the bases, circling the bases, and slamming. I'm just telling myself internally, get your head out of your ass, stay focused, stay aggressive, take no prisoners. And of course, I did that from head on. And I came over to New York, and I did it. Really wasn't a big deal. Yeah, because I was a long guy, and I wasn't scared. Just he started to want a portion, but and I started evolving as set up guy, slash safe situation guy. Everyone just thought it was awesome. And they actually boo a lot of the times when I grabbed So I would only do it to start, and or after I got a guy out. There's a lot of times when I got, this game moving game where a lot of times, big power hits up, maybe was got in the first, second. I would come set and I would only watch the batters. Ready, ready. And people would, why would you do that? So I would just watch. But I would watch his hands, and as soon as I saw his fingers move, I would throw the pitch because I knew he was getting ready to pull time out. So as soon as he took his hands off his bat, I started pitching. He's over there. So that's the game of the beginning. But I would grab the rosin back when I got 2 strikes on the guy, and I would just bounce it up and down on my wrist. Try to take out as much rosin as I could, and it would slowly put my hand back down. So when I threw the pitch, it'd be a big and that could distract the hitter's eyesight.
Let me ask you something about the entrances. You mentioned the closers now that come in, and like obviously there's the game within the game, but there's an aspect of showmanship to that too, because you already mentioned how the crowd pumps you up your whole career, and you live off that energy. You have these big entrances now by the big closers. Of course, we have one in Diaz, the trumpets, and all that stuff. Genuinely asking if Turk Wendell would come out to a big, elaborate entrance if you were pitching to
They started doing the whole songs and stuff towards the end of my career. I never cared. Just like uniforms at spring training, they have a tailor come around and they section for uniform. And I said, look, I'm just happy. But it's the same way it was last year. But it's pretty cool. I love watching and listening to the trumpets.
Yeah.
But I don't like the fact that now they're starting lights, all that kind of stuff. I mean, that's to me, it's distracting. As you're a player, you're trying to get focused. It's a strobe light. I don't agree with that at all.
Okay, I figured that's where you would be at. Where you want to do something in the crowd involved, get you pumped up, play a favorite song, something like that. But then maybe the extra stuff, start doing the light show, start having the trumpet playing with their live, and you go too much for sure.
A lot of people love mixes. A lot of times it looks like wild things.
Yeah.
I 13 is actually my favorite number. Fonzie he had 13. He did my 13. I had a couple more months that he succeeded. But anyway, I know what number I would have. It's Jay Horowitz. Fonzie gave me 13. He said, no. So what number? I think he said 10 or 11. I don't remember. But that's it. So what do you want? What number do you want? So I was always 13. And then I didn't know why, but I said, how about 99?
It certainly stuck.
So, I was Aaron Judge's favorite player, apparently.
I want to ask you one more thing about the superstition side of things. And it's only because I literally just stumbled upon this. I don't even know if you know, quite frankly. So in 2018, Men's Journal put together a list, and the only list that I could find, of the top 10 most superstitious athletes of all time. And on that list, Michael Jordan, Serena Williams, Wade Boggs, Patrick Ross, some of the greatest players in their respective sports of all time. But at number 1 on that list, Turk Wendell. Said to you, and it's a great point to make about letting your stuff and letting your arm do the talking. But it's still pretty cool to be on a list like that with things like that.
Never heard any of the word before. It's kind of funny because from 2005 to the end of my career in 2004, I didn't do any of that stuff.
Right.
And everyone thought I still did. So it's pretty ironic, I don't know. It's what it is. I look back on it a lot of times and I'm like, what the hell's wrong with me?
Do you still have the necklace, the teeth necklace?
I have some things that's broken over the years because I never took it off. So it was never a shark's tooth. I don't know. Started the shark.
It was animals you hunt,
Yeah,
right?
there was deer around there. There was bear claws, mountain lion claws, spurs, elk, ivory teeth. But over the course of time, showering, hot tubs, pools, whatever in the ocean, kind of broke. And I actually had a break in picking up all these teeth off. What happened, buddy? One buddy this year is really like Christmas. And actually last night talking with one of my buddies saying, "Oh, dude, if you made some reels, you could sell them." I said, "But it's not. You know what we took to a corner like that? And that would be an expensive necklace."
It would be an expensive house.
About every other and well, I actually, when we were playing in the Bronx, some handlers, bitching about or yelling at me about my necklace, and I looked up and I said, "You're freaking
Totally non-baseball question, but what is the most exotic animal you've been able to catch, or what was the hardest one? I mean, you just rattled off one. He was nothing, oh, it's smell, it's deer, going out and hunting moose and bear. And, I know I'm putting you on the spot, but I think
there's a lot of I'm not sure you have that, but there. But mountain lions, pretty cool. A lot of people heard about that adventure because I ended up spending the night in the wilderness.
Yeah.
Started tracking this lion and we went back about 14 miles. And I got the lion and I said to the guy, I said, "Look, the 14 miles back, and it's some portions of we're in rocky cliffs, snow almost a waist deep." And I said, "We're stupid to try to walk out here in the dark and I'm fine. Let's just spend the night and walk out in the morning. We see." So, and the next day I walk out, I didn't know it's supposed to be 17 below zero. I had clothes on my back, but I always carried like it. So I made a fire, cut down some pine limbs, worked it down, and made a big cushion and slept on that for about 6 hours. And I was toasty warm.
Just not easy.
Truly was. But so the next day, I kept walking out, like get smaller. My pickup is trucks, cars everywhere, and there was people walking around. I said, "Hey, what's going on here?" "Oh, we're looking for this baseball player. It's awesome." And it was all over ESPN. Awesome. So I looked at the person. I go, "Well, you're right." Spot. Got sort of that. "Oh, Mr. Bullers." Really. But that was a pretty cool. And then I don't know, there's about mountain lions and bow at like maybe less than 5 years.
Wow, that's pretty incredible.
But something like that, 5 yards, just like here that look. And that's a pretty vicious animal. And it is really good eating meat. You laugh, but it really is.
If you ever have a chance to eat mountain lion, there you go. It's like chicken.
It tastes like pork. It's kind of the white meat.
So, last one for me, and then we'll get a couple questions from the crowd here. But just to piggyback off of that, I know you and I have talked about this mountain lion story before in the past. You said like, "Hey, I stopped doing all these superstitions at the end of my career," but that's the thing that kind of hangs on. And then, there's this story where you're like, "I was in complete control. I went out hunting. It's something I've always done. I decided to stay the night. I come out the next morning. People blow this up out of proportion." What are you thinking? And you just alluded to the fact that, never been drunk, never taken a drink. Why do people look at Turk Wendell like you're some wild guy? Where do you think this comes from? Because this is the third time we talk, straight shooter, of course, but, calm, collected.
Yeah.
It's what you've been for every team. Maybe a while.
I mean, not the name drop, but I sat this week with Jay Seinfeld on the game, pretty much the whole game. And we talked to him, and the game's over, and he's like, "Man, I gotta tell you, it was really awesome. Good to know you. You're nothing like I thought."
Yeah.
And I just
Yeah.
And usually when I do something, it's all in. That's it.
Mhm.
No matter what it is. And, you know, baseball is something I really love since I was 3 years old. My mom, that's me. And I guess that's just that excitement and that diving first into it. And I think people gravitate towards that. Maybe I don't know. And it's just that love and passion. And that's kind of the way it is. Like I said, with everything in my life. I mean, hunting. I have friends that kind of gravitate towards being one from hunting with me. And, I just try to make the most of it. And I was 3 days of blessing. When I was when I was born, I had a deal where I go to my stomach. And it's the first 6 months of my life in the hospital. So I look at that as a bonus. You know,
Yeah.
it was a bonus.
Yeah, I mean, that's incredible. It's the passion, I think, that really comes through. It's like, talk baseball with you all day. It's just, you know, your love, your drive, your passion for the sport, and just your passion about life that comes through in every conversation.
So that and a tribute to the Met fans too. I think they can sense that when guys are just almost emotions. And you know, Mel Ross, we got traded over here together in Brian Craig. And Mel was very good, but he got a huge contract. He just hit his foot. It just went through the emotions. As soon as he started warming up, his boots were all over. And I mean, that's why I say, you know, most people say, if you love something, it's not work. And I never looked at it as work.
Yeah.
That was my job, but it's just my passion.
I think it shows. All right, we're going to take a couple minutes to get a couple questions from the audience here. So if you guys have a question for Turk, just raise your hand. We've got somebody going around with the mic. Looks like we got somebody in the back right there. What's your name? What's your question?
I'm Michael from Hamilton, Connecticut. So, you know, so I played baseball in Southern Connecticut. In the fall, we would intersquad we heard scrimmage, but over the years through playing and coaching, I found to know really pretty well. So, do you have any funny skip stories? He said a few stories about you. I don't want to put you on blast, but
Coach Cooley is definitely one of a kind guy, and a lot of times it's kind of uncomfortable when I'm around him because he tells stories that never happened. And then, you're in a mixed crowd like this, and he's telling a story about I just played a golf tournament this summer with him in I can't remember it is. But he's telling a story about when he came to my house, he was recruiting me. We're sitting on the couch, and I said, "Hold on a second." I grabbed a 22 and I shot a squirrel in the backyard. So afterwards, everyone's laughing. And I looked over at my buddy, he's everything in my house. So, I would say that it's quite far on.
But that goes back to what I was saying before. It seems like everybody's got a Turk Wendell story, whether they're fabricated or a little embellished or not. We got another gentleman over there in the flat. What's your name?
Thanks a lot. In a 7-game series, we would win a team or the 2000 team. Which team? The 99 or 2000? 99 Mets or 2000 Mets? That's a tough question. I'd probably have to say 2000. It's where we got, obviously, the World Series. But it might have been a little bit closer than it guys. Everyone's talking about you can't buy team chemistry, and not to bring up the Yankees, but I'm going to bring up the Yankees. You can't buy a championship. I mean, I think the Dodgers, everyone's like, well, the Dodgers kind of bought the championship. But if you look at what the Dodgers went to last year, it's pretty amazing. They really didn't have a good starting rotation, as we heard and all that stuff. But getting back to the Mets, I just think it was a good chemistry, and everybody was pulling for everybody. And a lot of people have asked me over the years, what made you guys so good? The only superstar player you really have is Piazza. And I said, yeah, that's pretty accurate. But the best thing about the team was that nobody cared who the hero was. As long as you won the game. And I think when you get a lot of big name guys like the Yankees have, and it's what prevalent when they have A-Rod wanted to be the man. And egos get inflated instead of just, hey, we were in the game. Everybody at that stage on the 2000 team, pretty much, a lot of the guys, the big quarters of guys, they had made their money, and all they wanted to do was win. And then that selflessness can take your team a lot farther than people realize.
I think we saw that a little bit with the Mets here in 2024, where the whole was greater than the sum of its parts. Sometimes when you're a team, you're a team. Right here at the front in the orange, what's your question?
Sorry, thank you for being here. In here, I know it's work. Not work. My question is this: very noble and commendable that you live between lifestyle, especially in a ball club. And I know that you denounced the steroid use. Did that become a contentious thing? Did it you ostracized for it? Because you couldn't stand against it. And I think it's a very commendable thing. But it was the time where probably 60 or 70% of the league might have been using CBDs.
I appreciate that question, and it's about the steroid thing. And I was basically the first person to say publicly about how I felt about steroids, but more specifically their bonds. And it didn't come out how they want it. The way it came out wasn't like people think. Now, this reported your spring training when I was with the Rockies in 2004. Yeah, was became my friend. And just kind of like this, we're having a conversation. And what do you think of the bond steroid thing? I go, man, I don't understand it. It's very bonds, and no one wants to say anything. I mean, if my trainer admitted getting steroids to baseball players, it's been indicted for it. That was as big as he is. Of course, everyone's going to say it's not steroids, or I was on steroids. St. Louis is very bonds, we don't say anything. So I went out and played golf. Practice was over that day, and my phone got ringing, and then I answered golf, and then my dad called. Hey, what's going on? I said, well, I did. So I said, what are you talking about? He said, wow, it turns TV on, it's all over ESPN. Just call Barry Bonds out. So now, I'm a little apprehensive to go to the ballpark next 6. I didn't know what to say. It's, there's certain things under the rules of baseball, and when I was with the Cubs, I'm not going to say, Sammy Sosa's in the middle of the steroid cycle. That's why you said 3 home runs, played him 1. I'm not going to say that about my teammate or about other players. Because that's not. And so I go to the clubhouse the next morning, and I can't even count on you guys. I was going to shake my hands, go outside and see what it says. That's not who I am. And then Barry comes out, which he had the right to do when they asked him about what I said. And he says, yeah, that's something I said. You say it's my face, which I commend him for. So 2004, we started the season, and we're like, against the Giants. And Russ Wilson, who I've known since he was younger, here in the Mets too, he's walking out of the weight room, which is parallel to the training room. And I was walking out of the training room, he goes, hey, so they're watching me say hi to him. I look up and I see Bonds, and he sees me, and he's like, yeah, have I forgot something to say? I'm saying it's my face. This and I started straight to the face. I said, Barry, I'm going to apologize to you, man, that got into yeah, because that's not who I am. I said, if I'm going to talk about steroids in baseball, do you think it only happens? Let's go. That report should have a lot against me. And so anyway, long story short, he was all hemming and hawing about everyone just trying to ruin my reputation. I said, look, Bert, and it was kind of funny because there might have been 8 people in the weight room, and everyone just started kind of getting closer and closer. And And I said, you're going to have to answer the questions today. I want to crap up. You're the one that answer the questions. And I said, and I wish you the best. I said, but Larry, the bottom line is, you call me a question. The next time I face you, I need to really fast.
We are out of time here with now. We have one more question. Yeah, he has to
Yes.
Yes.
You think any of your this is rubbed off on your son, who's a minor leaguer?
Well, that's good.
That's what you make him an end with if you want one.
Yeah, so that was by himself. Yeah, my son, he unfortunately had Tommy John surgery, covering for that, but he like one of them, especially if you're pitchers. He does have a few superstitions that he does, and a lot of times it boils down to pre-game meals.
Yeah. Does he have any of yours? Does he hop over the foul line? Yeah.
I wasn't do a lot of it. I guess 9-10-year-old person, thing.
Yeah.
But he's a good kid, and I believe we'll see him one day in the bigs. I don't think it'll be with the Diamondbacks because players get treated so much. He's
Right.
Some big high absolute top prospect, but he's like he loves the game, works super hard. I get more nervous watching him pitch than when I pitch, just because I know how hard he works at this craft, and I want him to succeed.
I want to give you the last word on this. And I know I'm putting you on the spot a little bit, but what's your fondest memory of your 4.5 seasons as a New York Met? I know.
Yeah, that's a tough question.
I mean, the World Series, of course.
The World Series. I mean, everyone's World Series. This is what you dreamt about. Of course, everyone World Series, but I said I live my dream every single day. Getting a good uniform on this size, but I don't know my fondest memory. Just I don't know. It's not a fun memory, but losing game one of the World Series, I replay that a lot. Extra innings after warming up 6 times. Didn't have much left. I got out of the whatever 10th inning, and I was just too competitive.
Yeah.
And I remember how like why did you walk that guy? You're getting so bad. I said, I don't know what anybody needs to tell me to. Never get the guy out. It's like, don't play smarter, not harder.
Yeah.
And then that's the strategy of the game that I teach my son and other players. But I did one Valentine and said, look, I warmed up so many times. I'm just probably get somebody else in there and they would so better chance. The 11th inning or 12th inning, whatever it was. But as far as the positive memory, I don't know, there's just so many fun times.
Yeah.
That I don't know if I can really feel like one specific thing.
That's fair enough.
Well, I mean, there was the game within the game that I was talking about. It's pretty cool. A lot of, I have a joke about it. Every time we play the game, so they say, "Oh, Mark Clark, you own him." Nah, I'm like, yeah, he's a bitch. It's a great dude, but he just couldn't see the ball off me well or something.
Yeah.
I think I struck him out 15 out of 18 times or something like that.
That's pretty impressive.
Yeah, but there was some balls he should have hit probably 500. I think just missed. That's what I said he is. He probably I was a guy who couldn't pick the ball off really well. And came into a game at Shea, and I believe it was first and second, or bases loaded, 2 outs, and McGuire was open. I would always throw in change jumps, slower than slow sliders. They tried to get him out on his front leg a lot of times. And this time I threw him 3 straight fastballs. He never swung at one of them. He just looked at me like, it's pretty cool.
Well, Turk, this has been absolutely incredible.